Learning is one of the superpowers I think any leader can have. There's a statement that I was trying to remember the name of the person that said it. It was a former executive at the Royal Dutch Shell Company. He was head of planning. He made this statement many years ago. He said, the only true competitive advantage that any organization has is their ability to learn faster than their competitor.
Yeah.
And I think that applies not just to organizations, but to us as individual professionals as well. Your ability to learn and having access to learning, through, access to leaders that have the experience that you want to learn from, having access through the programs that these organizations put together and the network, and just, it's amazing.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Leaders in Tech, where we are really shining the light on leaders that are making their organizations, their cities, and their world a better place through the empowerment of technology. Today we have with us Bashir. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, David. Happy to be here.
Bashir, for your audience, and we were talking about this before the recording, when I try to pronunciate last names, I always mess up, and it's a shame on me. So give me your full name, please. Where do you live, and what do you do for a living?
Thank you. So my name is Bashir Agboola. I live in New Jersey, and what I do for organizations, I like to think about what I do as helping organizations to use technology for strategic and competitive differentiation. Now, my current role is with HSS, Hospital for Special Surgery, which is based in Manhattan in New York, but we have locations across the country. HSS has been around over 160 years and is the global leader in orthopedics care.
This podcast is brought to you by ISU Corp. Are you having trouble with your software projects? Is there a project that's taking too long or a technology you can't handle? We can help. We are ISU Corp, experts in custom software since 2005. With almost 20 years of experience, we can solve any technical problem from new businesses to satellite software. We've done it all. Let us turn your ideas into reality. Learn more about how we can help by visiting us at www.isucorp.ca. Your solution starts here.
That is amazing. 160 years.
Yes.
When I hear organizations that old, I get amazed,
Yeah.
Was they doing something right?
It's a great organization, great culture. Happy to be there.
And what position do you have there?
So I am the Chief Technology Officer, the CTO, as well as Associate CIO at the organization.
That's fabulous. Bashir, what do you think is your main objective when you get in a position so high in such a big organization?
I think my main function there really is to help the organization achieve its goals, its aims, whatever the mission of the organization is. In our case, we like to think of our aim as being to help people move and live a pain-free life. And so my goal in my function as a technology leader in the organization is really to help the company achieve its aims, leveraging technology so that technology becomes an enabler towards those aims and a key competitive differentiator as one of the means by which the organization can differentiate itself from other organizations. We're based in Manhattan and New York, as I said, surrounded by some really world-class, top-tier medical institutions. So in order to compete and stand out in such a marketplace, you have to do your best to deliver world-class care and differentiating yourself in a way that people want to come back to you. And my role there is to help the organization do that and leverage technology towards that goal.
That's beautiful and well said. Tell me, was ever your your role in life to become a technology leader?
Interestingly, no, actually, as a young boy growing up in Nigeria, where I'm from originally, my ambitions were twofold. I loved I loved tinkering with stuff. So as a teenager, my dream was to be an electrical and electronics engineer in the military. I wanted to go to the military academy. I wanted to combine two things that I loved in one. So, but somehow I ended up going to the university to study computer science instead. So computer science wasn't my initial love. I sort of fell into it. And I'm glad, in life, often much of our path is dictated by things that we did not initially or deliberately plan for.
The same thing happened to me when I was a teenager. I fell in love with aviation. My then the fiance of my older sister, now my late brother-in-law, he was an airplane pilot. So when I was 13, 14 years old, he would take me on the weekends on this plane, and we'll go. I grew up in Guatemala, full of mountains and beautiful rivers and oceans. So we will go from the city and we'll just follow these rivers filled with trees, and we'll just go all the way down to the ocean and go back and see the mountains and the volcanoes. So I quickly fell in love with aviation. It gave me a sense of freedom. And it took me to the point that I actually asked my dad, and my dad said, I don't have any money to make you an airplane pilot, but the government does. And our country was in a civil war, so he enlisted me in the military school, the military academy for officials, with the hopes to become an airplane pilot.
So what's your pilot afterwards?
By the point I needed to do the shift from the infantry or to the army into the Air Force, because of the war, most of the planes were down. The enemy had broken down a lot of the airplanes, so they had enough pilots for the planes that they had. So they were not recruiting anymore. So I am like, oh no, what am I going to do? This is my life vision. And I do have a couple of planes here in my office because I still love aviation. But then my uncle started showing me. He was already a CIO for a bank back then in the 80s, and he took me to his office. He showed me the mainframe systems, and he showed me how he could actually write a letter without having to start from scratch if he made a mistake.
Wow.
He showed me how to do copy and paste with keyboard shortcuts on his text editor in an AX400, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I fell in love because I had to pass this typewriting exam.
Mm-hmm.
And if I made a mistake, I had to start from the beginning. And that was so frustrating for me. So instantly, by looking at that automation, I'm like, I need to learn how to do this. And that's how I fell in love with computer science. So very similar. Like it wasn't my first love, and thank God I chose the computer science path for sure.
a lot of the good things that happens to us in life often aren't planned by us. So that's great. So.
Yeah, Bashir, I am a man of faith. I'm a born again Christian. I love my Lord, and I started reading my Bible 2 years ago for the first time. And in the book of Psalms, there is a Psalm number 139. So Psalm 139 says that the Lord wrote a book about your life, and every day of your life and everything you're supposed to do is there. And a lot of the things that happen in my life like this is like, wow, what if what if they would have allowed me to go into the Air Force, and what if I would have been killed in there? Right?
Yeah.
God knows. I wouldn't be in Canada, right? I wouldn't be in Canada because computer science took me to Canada.
Exactly. It's amazing.
So so you went to computer science in Nigeria or in the States?
In Nigeria. So I went into the university. I was actually still trying to get into the electronics and electrical engineering program, because as at that time, the year that I got into the university in the 80s, that was the number one program that people wanted to study in Faculty of Technology. And my grades didn't get me into that program, so they got me into the second program, my second choice, which was computer science. And so I studied computer science with economics as a minor. And interestingly, the second year my second year in college, things flipped. Computer science became the number one sought after program. The year before, it was electronics and electrical engineering, and then the next year it was computer science, and I was already in place for that. So I was blessed in that sense. So I finished my bachelor's in Nigeria. I began working there, and then a few years later, I went back to school in Nigeria for my master's in computer science. And I had the opportunity at one point to go to South Africa to work at IBM for training for several weeks, getting trained and certified on some of their technologies. And while I was there, I was amazed at how much developed the computer industry was in South Africa. So I said, I want to move from Nigeria to South Africa. And the agencies that I approached said, no, we can actually get you a job in the United States, which was to me seemed incredible. I said, how can you get me a job in South Africa and I'm good? No, and they did it and connected me with a computer company in New Jersey, interviewed.
Isn't that amazing?
It was.
Talk about destiny. This is exactly what I'm telling you.
Exactly. And I didn't believe that was possible. People that I told didn't believe that it was possible. They said, no, it's not possible. And it absolutely was. So I got employed and I moved to the States in the late 90s and began working for that company as a consultant with their clients. And here.
So do you have an experience, on the job experience, or you were just a recent grad from university?
No, at that time, I was about, I would say 7-8 years in the industry, doing a variety of things. I did software development. I did what we call data processing back in the day, got the data processing. I did training. I did everything. But I was, by the mid 90s, I was becoming specialized in systems. So I was one of the very early MCSEs, Microsoft Certified Systems Engineers in Nigeria at that time. I was one of the very first persons to have that certification, one of the very first to have IBM, AIX and HACMP certification. So I was fortunate again that I worked for a good organization that invested in my education, and I exerted myself also towards that goal. So I was already a systems person. And so when I was hired by this company in New Jersey, I began working for them as a systems consultant. And it was one of my assignments that took me into the healthcare industry, where I've spent the last 20-something years in the healthcare industry. It was one of my consulting assignments that took me into that industry. It wasn't even something that I'd planned to go into healthcare.
Okay, so when you decided to move, were you married already, or?
I had a young family. I was married with a couple of little kids, and so it was, it was opportunity. It was a big opportunity, and at the same time, very challenging, coming into a new environment with a young family, trying to settle in, trying to fit into the environment, do well at work, raise a family without the social support that you're accustomed to in the society that you're coming from. So it wasn't without its challenges, but again, we were able to weather it as best as we could.
Yeah, the path of the immigrant is not easy, but if you think about it, Canada and the USA is built by immigrants.
Absolutely.
In Canada, I ask people, and I don't know anybody with 3 generations Canadians. I don't, and I've been here for almost 35 years now.
Wow.
And the oldest maybe was 3 generation Canadians.
Wow.
Of course, there's got to be more, but Canada is such a young country, and the United States, so is the United States. Like how did the countries form?
Yeah.
A bunch of people that were oppressed.
Yeah.
By their faith and by the economy. They decided to jump ship and see what could happen in a place wherever it is.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. People who were looking for opportunities and freedom in far-flung lands and made their way to different places. So yeah.
It's beautiful when a country opens up like that. And when I came to Canada, it was so beautiful. I remember that I landed in a city called Kitchener, and then I figured out that the city was called Berlin, but during the war they changed the name to Kitchener.
Because okay.
And it was all German based. So Probably we were 3-4 families that were Latin.
Mm.
Very little immigration, because most of the immigration happened in the big cities like Toronto.
Mm.
But we were so welcomed, we were helped. I quickly realized that in this country, if you have the skills and you're willing to actually really do whatever it takes to grow,
Yeah.
it will allow you to grow and prosper. It will actually, the economic system, the free enterprise system allows you to have a merit-based society, which means the amount of value that you can add, it will be returned to you, right?
Yeah. There's definitely a lot more opportunity to excel and do what you're good at and derive more value from it than in other places. Not without its challenges, of course. There are still challenges. There are still systemic issues. As today is Martin Luther King Day in the U.S., by the way, and so when you think about some of the things that Dr. King and others fought for, the rights that many of us enjoy now, were things that they fought for to allow people like us to come in and be able to. I mean, I look back and I say, I am the chief technology officer at the best orthopedic hospital in the world. I mean, coming up, how did that happen? Right. How could that happen? It's yes, the struggles that many people went through to pave the way, to open up the opportunity for many people like us to come into society and exert ourselves. Because no matter how much you exert yourself, if those roads, those paths aren't laid, you will not be able to traverse those paths forward. So we have a lot to be grateful for the sacrifices of people who came before us.
That's for sure. And what a blessing that you ended up in the United States instead of South Africa. Don't get me wrong, I never been to that country, but I don't think it's as strong as the United States of America.
Definitely not for the reasons that I wanted to move there. I mean, at that time, relatively, they had computer, and still now, I think they have a much better computer industry than the rest of Africa still, because many of the big tech companies went to South Africa after the fall of apartheid. All the big IBM and HP and Microsoft, they went there first before they started coming back to Nigeria. So they have a good, so they have a decent industry there. But I mean, quality of life and everything else, of course, the US affords much better opportunities in those respects.
So what was your first job in healthcare?
So my first job in healthcare was at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. I went there as a consultant for my company. I was a Unix consultant, and I was there. And at one point, I wanted to change jobs. The hospital, our client, stepped in and said, "No, we'd like you to stay and work for us." And so, but I couldn't because of non-compete. Mm-hmm. And so they bought out the non-compete from my employer. And that allowed me to take up a full-time employment with them. So I became a permanent employee with the hospital. And then a couple of years or so later, a management opportunity came up when our manager left abruptly, and I had the opportunity to step into a leadership role there, and sort of progressively had larger responsibilities in management.
Do you have any leadership skills when you got that role?
Well, I would say yes, but not formally, in the sense that, one, I kind of knew that leadership was the path I really wanted to go in terms of where I wanted to take my professional technology career. And I would often, I've always been a reader. I love reading. I would read books, I'd email articles that I would share with my friends. And of course, in the university, I had leadership roles and in student organizations and all that. But I knew that professionally, the leadership track was where I would love to go. And so all the studying, the reading and everything, and that I was already engaged in, I guess, manifested enough for the organization to put their, the confidence in me, just have me step into the role that they put me in, and then gave me more progressively larger responsibilities over the next several years there. And then while I was there, I went back to school to get my MBA. So I got my MBA in Rutgers University in New Jersey here, and with concentration in finance. I didn't want to do a technology degree again because I already had 2 degrees in technology. So, let me focus on business administration at that time.
You know that for me, I quickly became a leader in the companies that I work for, mostly Fortune 500 companies and a few mid-sized companies. I just had the skills. I don't know how. I had the skills to communicate between IT and the business. I knew what business was, and I knew what IT was. When I went to college here in Canada, my grandfather told me, and my father, they both told me, take as many business and accounting schools as you can get. And I'm like, why? Because you're going to work for business. And I told him, but Dad, I love computer science. Yes, you do. Take as many computer science as you want, but make sure you have a minor in business and accounting. And that's what I did. And it helped me so much become a leader because it was very hard to find people like me.
Yeah.
The problem is that doesn't make you a leader. I was just a good communicator, which is essential for being a leader.
Yeah.
And it went to the point that when I actually opened my first business, the business that I still run now, a software consulting firm for 20 years. About 10 years into that business, I realized that I was a horrible leader, that I wasn't really a good leader. So I had to take a year off, and I did I went back to school and I did a leadership training course specifically for technical people. So beautiful. They made me read about 32 leadership books. The classes were imparted by global CIOs. What beautiful. And it really changed my whole life. When I came back, I changed the culture. I started embracing the servant leadership mentality, and it just started trickling back throughout the enterprise until the company started to grow exponentially because of it,
Yeah, leadership is really important, and we're all leaders at different levels in our families and in our organizations. And I think you're talking about the Regional Leadership Forum, the RLF by SIM, Society for Information Management. Yeah, I went through the program as well. I had a great CIO at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center who really believed in investing in her team and particularly in her up-and-coming leaders in the organizations. And so she would send many of us, managers, mid-level managers to the RLF, which is a 9-month leadership program. And I went through that program. I think at that time, the curriculum had like 50 business books that we had to go through. And it was like many people would describe it, a life-changing experience, really, because it really helps you to discover yourself more, learn more about yourself and what it means to be a leader and member of a team. So that was a great experience for me as well.
This thing amazing that we are graduates from the same place.
Absolutely.
What position do you have when you went to that course?
So at that time when I was in the program, I think I was still I was a manager at Memorial Sloan. I was a manager. I was overseeing what we call at that time the Open Systems team, which is the systems, distributed systems and databases were what my team focused on at that time. So I went through the program, and then at the end of the program, I was able to join Society for Information Management, SIM, because graduates of the RLF were accepted in, even though I wasn't at a level that ordinarily I would have been qualified to be a member, because you had to be like the head of technology or a direct report to the head of technology, like the CIO or someone that reported to the CIO. I wasn't at that time when I was in management, but that allowed me to get into the organization. And I really took advantage of that, networking with global CIOs and senior people, and learning and being mentored by them directly or indirectly, volunteering, and then becoming an executive of the local chapter for a couple of 10 years. Really great opportunity.
For me, it was the opposite. I was immediately accepted at Society for Information Management. I went to a conference of them that I didn't know was of them. And I was immediately accepted because I already was running the the company as the CEO and CIO. And then after 3-4 conferences, they had like the booth there for the course, and I'm like, I need to take this. This is when the Lord showed me we gotta go and get some wisdom.
Yeah, it's great.
Do you think that that education allowed you to move faster in your leadership career?
I think so. Learning is one of the superpowers I think any leader can have. There's a statement that I was trying to remember the name of the person that said it. It was a former executive at the Royal Dutch Shell Company. He was head of planning. He made this statement many years ago. He said, the only true competitive advantage that any organization has is their ability to learn faster than their competitor.
Yeah.
And I think that applies not just to organizations, but to us as individual professionals as well. Your ability to learn and having access to learning, through, access to leaders that have the experience that you want to learn from, having access through the programs that these organizations put together and the network, and just, it's amazing. And for someone like me that grew up in Nigeria, came into the United States as a professional already, as an adult, without the organic network of someone that might have grown up in the United States, I had to build my network somehow. And so, and SIM was one of the startup platforms that I used to really build and expand my network, which would have been very difficult to do without an organization like SIM, and I'm sure there are other ones out there like it as well.
I don't know if they stopped, because I haven't been to a conference in a long time, but I don't know if they have stopped it. But I remember those conferences were life-changing too, even without having to go to the training program. The actual conferences were amazing, and especially for networking. But also you were learning the what's new and hottest and latest in
technology and
right?
business. Yes, absolutely. They still, and SIM still partners. They partner with some other organizations like here in New York, for example. I know SIM New York partners with HMG Strategy a lot. SIM New Jersey would partner with HMG or some other groups to put programs and events together that would bring networks of business executives, technology executives, and vendors. It's a great opportunity to learn and broaden one's scope.
I remember in one of those conferences, I learned about Watson. It just came out, IBM Watson.
Yeah.
And it was incredible. We're talking about AI 10 years ago, and it was already something amazing, right?
Yeah, interestingly, I'm sorry, finish your point and I'll mention the
No, go ahead, because what I'm going to say is long too.
Yeah, so because when I was at Memorial, we had a partnership with IBM, because IBM partnered with 2 hospitals at that time. So because they were trying to use Watson in cancer care. So they partnered with Memorial and MD Anderson in Texas, those are the 2 leading cancer hospitals in the United States, Memorial Sloan and MD Anderson. And they had the partnership, and my team actually worked with the IBM engineers to build out the infrastructure that we deployed the technology on. And then I left that organization shortly thereafter to take up the CTO role at HSS, where I'm at right now.
Isn't that amazing? I also had humble beginnings with AI and IBM. When I was a leader for one of the largest insurance companies in Canada. This is back in 2000, I think, a long time ago.
Yeah.
We were looking at translation technology, text-based translation into other languages, because the company was expanding to other countries. And we actually we had a project with IBM, and they had something called GIST technology. So basically, what happened with that is that you could actually speak to a microphone, and it will kind of write the words for you, but it was probably 60% accurate. And then we'll actually try to translate it very, very rudimentary for the time, but it was very revolutionary. And I ended up going to the IBM office many times leading that project. And funny enough, not funny actually, fascinating enough. Now that I am in my 50s, I run a channel, a separate channel. It's a Christian-based channel, and people are watching from at least 25 countries in the world. So we only translate on subtitles with Spanish and English because most people speak Spanish or English. But now I was, I had this desire in my heart to actually start doing translations in other languages. My team started researching, and turns out that now not only the translation, the actual text translation could happen automatically, but with the new AI technologies, there are platforms that you feed the video, and this thing talks in the language you want, and it makes your lips sync with the actual words. And I was as we're about to release that, and it's gonna take maybe days.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. I never feel to be awed by the developments in the industry. And I just thinking back to 1996 when I was finishing my master's program in Nigeria. My thesis was on natural language processing. Now I think back to 1996 and natural language processing that I wrote about then, which was purely theoretical framework about language and the formulation of language and all that. And where we are today, it's like Stone Age and Space Age.
Yeah.
It's amazing what's happened in even just over 3 years. The development is just astounding. So I'm excited for the times that we're in. I really am.
And it's changing very fast, but if you think about it, the technology is exponential, but if you look, in Canada, we call it the hockey stick effect, because exponential growth at the beginning looks like addition and multiplication. It doesn't look exponential until it hits a pivotal point when it actually just goes up. Right?
Yeah.
And but for it to become there, you have to exponentiate since the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? So the concept of AI was designed in the 60s.
Yeah.
The concept is not new. Like
it's
right?
Yeah, it's been a very long time. I mean, in the 50s, there was a chatbot, Eliza, as far back as the 50s.
Right.
So, but where they were at that time with the technology and where we are now, I mean, it's there.
And we're living in the exponential days now, right? It's incredible. I wrote a book. I called it AI or Die. I wrote it, I think, 2 years ago. It was a book for my clients, to business people, not technology people, for business people to realize the potential of AI. And if they don't, like my warning was, if you don't apply AI in your business, you are going to be bankrupt because your competition is doing it already.
Absolutely.
We became AI experts since about 3-4 years ago.
Absolutely.
And most of the work that we do now is all AI based, because even my programmers, right? This is what caused me to write it, because back then my coders, 40% of the code they were writing was done by AI already. That was weird. It's incredible, but now we have prompt engineers.
Yeah.
And one of I think like the technology is disrupting so much, even the same IT industry, that my coders are like, what do we do now? I'm telling them, well, become AI architects, become AI translators, because that's your future. You're no longer going to need to type code in a keyboard.
Yeah.
And I will do that for you.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Incredible, right?
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited at the opportunities.
Me too. What do you think about what I'm talking, right? AI and the threaten to different jobs, including IT.
Honestly, I said this to folks. Do we have reasons to be concerned? Yeah. It's the same reason to be concerned as any time there's a revolutionary technology that comes out. But your concern would only remain a concern long term if you don't adapt to the opportunities and the threats posed by that new technology. So yeah, as technologists, even as technology leaders, it's not just your programmers that could be threatened by this. Technology leaders could be threatened. So I like to ask myself, why would an organization want to have a CTO? Why would they want to have a CIO if they have all the knowledge of CTOs or CIOs, accessible to an AI agent that can help the organization make decisions a lot faster with better quality data than a human CIO or CTO? So then as a CIO or CTO, how do you save yourself from being replaced by an AI agent? Well, it's by leveraging the power of AI to make yourself AI plus person. So that's really the only way that many professions, including us technology leaders, can stay relevant. We can only stay relevant if we use AI. So I use AI extensively in my learning, because I'm a true believer in constant and accelerated learning. I use AI to up my learning, to speed up how quickly I learn things, to digest complex information, to consume more learnings than I usually do, whether it's summarizing a YouTube video, whether it's summarizing a very long research article that I want to analyze, getting me the key takeaways and insights, or even using the technology like Notebook LM to take conference proceedings that I had it summarized, convert it to a podcast for me. So now I can listen to two people discuss.
Amazing.
That. I mean, so it's either you do that or at some point you get displaced by the technology.
And you're right. And every single time technology makes a paradigm shift, this happens. Absolutely. And the people that not only survive but thrive is the one that adopted instead of resisted.
Exactly.
Right? It's about adopting, and I love your term when you said AI plus human or AI plus I, right? Because
Absolutely.
Humans will always need to talk with humans. I don't believe these utopia ideals where everything will be run by machines and we will just become painters or musicians or whatever, right? Like even music and painting is being disrupted by AI. Like the AI is making movies now.
Absolutely. Incredibly beautiful, cheaper, faster. I mean, it's amazing.
So we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure out a way to start interacting with people. Look what happened with COVID. I mean, most companies went home. Now they're coming back. Why? Because you know that what we're doing right now has its limits. I mean, teleconferencing has its limits. You need the human interaction. Right?
Yeah, you need the human element. You need you need to create opportunity for people to innovate together, to interact, and have those spontaneous, bouts of innovation and insight that comes from two people chatting over the coffee machine or around the water cooler, and say, what are you working on? What am I working on? What problem? And those interactions are really powerful to coming up with great insights in organizations. And so, yes, AI is powerful, but there's still things that we human beings are best suited to do with ourselves.
You know what I've been putting a lot of close attention since 2007, 2008 is quantum computing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they go hand in hand with AI. Why did I get interested with quantum physics and quantum computing? Well, where I live where the BlackBerry was created. I live in a town called Waterloo, and so the two co-CEOs of BlackBerry live here. They still live here. BlackBerry would have stayed the world leader in cell phone technology if they wouldn't be so arrogant and thought that they had the market forever. And then Apple came and destroyed them.
Mm-hmm.
That's another story. But the thing is that, the technologist guy that co-founded BlackBerry, Lizardi, the one that the guy that invented it, he came out of University of Waterloo, which is one of the best computer science universities in the world. It's here where I live. And he started putting together an investment fund for attracting quantum scientists to the town. And now we have something called the Perimeter Institute and the Quantum Science Institute. And there is a whole bunch of PhDs working in quantum computing here since 2007. So they had, conferences and since I lived here and I was a technologist, I was like, this is interesting. But I'm talking about this because I know that Google has been working on a quantum computer that is going to really revolutionize things. Do you know anything about this?
No, not the Google. I know IBM's been working hard at this, but I remember at the conference years ago. IBM's big. In fact, I was at a conference, I think maybe a Gartner conference a few years ago, and they had on a mock replica of their quantum computer at their booth, and I took pictures there. It looked cool and weird and strange. IBM's one of the leading research organizations in quantum computing. Google, as you mentioned, and it's a technology that I'm curious about because of particularly the threat that quantum computing could pose to security as we know it today, to cybersecurity as we know it today. With encryption, the difficulty of cracking encryption that quantum would just make easy like that. That's one area of concern that I have, and what that means also for another area, which is blockchains. If you think about blockchain technologies, rely heavily on at least many of the blockchain technologies rely on public key infrastructure technology, and quantum computing could undermine the technology as is today, unless, of course, we improve those technologies as well. So a lot will change when we make great advances in quantum technology, quantum computing.
The one thing that I know for sure is that we always had the silicon limitation. So first we had the transistor limitation, right?
Yeah.
And that was a huge breakthrough when we invented the silicon chip. But what happens? Like every 18 months, the silicon chip was getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And the smaller it got, the faster our processing power became. But that has a limit. And I think we already reached the limit because it was about to be reached about 4 or 5 years ago. And exponential, right? But with quantum computer, that limit goes away because we go from a binary system, you have electricity and you don't, which is amazing, right? People don't believe, especially kids nowadays. I don't think they even teach them that a computer is, do I have electricity or do I don't? And one, it's binary.
The concept of a qubit, and there's just so much different about the computer science that we all learned back when we were going to school decades ago, and where the technology will go. It's a completely different set of sciences that modern day computer scientists would have to come up with to move us forward here. But so imagine bringing AI, quantum computing, bringing all of that together. I mean, it's just.
When I talk about this to people, I just make them understand that we live in a binary computer world, and we're about to become an 8-bit computer world. So just do the math, right? How much were we able to do with a binary system? What can we do with an 8-bit system? Right? A qubit processor. And they are figuring it out. I think the Google computer is humongous because the type of cooling they need, but the processing power is going to make supercomputers look like Casio calculators.
Exactly. Well, and that's why many people are working hard to solve the energy problem as well, because we just the kind of energy we're going to need in order to sustain the growth, unless we change some of the fundamentals of this technology itself, and to need less energy. Energy might be the limiting factor to how much we can scale, because the way the technology is consuming energy is probably not scalable. So something has to change fundamentally about the nature of computing itself. It has to use less energy for us to be able to scale much more.
This genius Satoshi Nakamoto that created Bitcoin, that. So that he based the price of Bitcoin based on how much energy the processing needed to have in order to gain more value for the currency, right? Isn't that amazing?
It is.
Like about 5 years ago, I had a friend. He had a Bitcoin mining business in Russia because it's the country that has the cheapest electricity in the world. But you touch a great point, energy, which leads me to this another amazing fact. You know that big tech they're buying their own power plants, nuclear power plants.
I think Microsoft's making some investments into a nuclear power plant in New York State. Yeah, they have to. Otherwise, they're not going to have enough energy unless something changes to reduce the demand.
I think we're in the verge of a nuclear revolution because people have finally realized how stupid we were with nuclear. We think that nuclear is Chernobyl and is unsustainable. No. Number one, it was a corrupt government. Number two, they didn't do the things that they needed to do properly. Now and the technology has evolved. You know, I don't know if you know, but now they have container-sized nuclear reactors that could light 3,000-4,000 houses for 20 years with one charge. So now the uranium charge lasts 20 years. And if you know how to properly dispose of that uranium, you're gold. I just did a podcast with another leader, and his company is he's a nuclear researcher, and they know he told me that there is already ways to recycle the uranium. So you don't even waste it; you recycle it, and so the waste is every time is less and less. And what Elon Musk was saying is that for him will be no problem to just grab a bunch of new uranium garbage, put it in a dump truck, and throw it to the space. So that then we have in the future generation we have to deal with the problem of space pollution. Yeah, but it's a little bigger than our Earth, right? Exactly. Bashir, thank you so much for your time. I had so much fun, and we could keep talking about this for hours and hours and hours. Thank you. It's a pleasure being here. Thank you. By the way, it's a holiday in the States, I know, and thank you because you still took the time. Thank you so much. Thank you, David. Bye. If people want to find out more about you or they want to ask more questions, are you on social media? I'm on LinkedIn mostly, and so they can reach me on LinkedIn. Fantastic, Bashir. Thank you so much. God bless you. Have a beautiful 2025. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Leaders in Tech podcast. Check in next week to keep learning how to use technology and leadership to change the game. See you next time.